Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Thai Talk with Dan. Now, I've been a little busy over the last few days, so I've not been that active in the comment section on my videos. I've been planning everything and shopping for my son's birthday, which is on the 27th of this month. Last year was a bit of a disaster, so this year I'm just trying to make it very special for him. In the way the Asian mind works when it comes to love, money, youth, inexperience. I learned that love in the Western thinking doesn't exist. So, I've got the whole day to myself today, so I'm going to be catching up on all of your emails and messages. And there's quite a few subscribers that want me to speak to them on the phone today, so I just hope that doesn't take up too much time, but I will try to get back to everybody today. Now, in today's story, ladies and gents, we're gonna discuss a subscriber's rendezvous with Thai women here in Thailand and how he has got on with these women without paying, and also some cautionary tales. So strap yourself in and let's get ready for today's Thailand story. Hi Dan, I recently discovered your channel and have been catching up with a few of your vlogs. I thought I'd contribute a few experiences I've had in case your subscribers might find them interesting or useful. And also cautionary tales of a couple of guys I know. It's all quite long, so if you do read it out on one of your vlogs, feel free to shorten it. I'd been to Thailand a few times on holiday when I was in a long-term relationship. When that ended in my late 40s, I was keen to visit Thailand as a single guy to experience the well-known delights. I was still in pretty decent shape back then, 8 years ago, and hoped to do reasonably well. Before travelling, I hit Thai Friendly and Thai Cupid and identified lots of possible runners and riders. I decided to make it interesting by setting myself a little challenge of trying to avoid P2P girls, but if all else failed, I was happy to go pay to play. After chatting with tons of what turned out to be bar girls and freelancers looking for P2P, while simultaneously saying they're looking for a serious relationship, no playing, I narrowed things down to 2 girls who had not mentioned money at all, and set up meetings with them for when I got to Bangkok. The first girl was petite and reasonably cute, probably a 6 out of 10. She was single, early 30s, and had a 7-year-old daughter. She worked as a hotel receptionist, so her English was okay and we could communicate reasonably well. But she seemed quite shy and reserved, and the conversation was not flowing. Basically, she lived in a pretty dull humdrum life and used the dating apps as a way of meeting phalanx for some excitement and a break from her routine. She didn't ask for money at any stage and seemed perfectly happy with us grabbing some food and a couple of beers and then back to my hotel for a good time. She seemed very self-conscious about being naked because she had stretch marks from her pregnancy, and to be honest, it was not particularly great nookie because she didn't seem able to relax, despite me reassuring her. She headed home afterwards, which suited me fine. I was quite glad it was over. I gave her some cash for a taxi as it was late, but that was it. We didn't stay in touch. Not a great experience, but not that terrible either. Okay, the second girl was very different, very outgoing and confident, Talkative with decent English, mid-20s, single with no kids. A banging body, beautiful face, a 9 out of 10, for sure. It turned out she had a wealthy foreign sponsor who owned jewellery businesses outside of Thailand. He'd set up a small jewellery kiosk in one of the shopping malls and employed her to run it to keep her busy. I knew this was true as she sent me photos of her at work, and I also surprised her with a video call. He'd occasionally give her bonus gifts of jewellery, and he'd taken her on a couple of trips in the past. She said the mall kiosk job was crushingly boring and that her sponsor was visiting Thailand less and less. And she seemed pretty disillusioned with things as she seemed pretty fond of him. Again, meeting Phalanx through the dating apps was a bit of excitement for her, and again there was absolutely no discussion about money as she seemed to be doing pretty well already and just wanted some fun. We had some food and drinks and then it was back to my hotel. This time the nookie was off the charts. She wasn't shy about her body at all and she really got into things. The next morning as she left, we agreed to keep in touch. Now I got in contact with her before my next visit, more in hope than expectation, and to my surprise, she was up for meeting. Same drill again, some food, a couple of beers, and then back to the hotel, and no mention of money. Now the next bits are a bit graphic, so you might need to rephrase them. And yeah, I'm going to have to. So, going to be hard this, guys. We were at it, back at the hotel, and something felt different. I looked down and there was blood. She was a bit embarrassed and apologetic, saying she wasn't due for her time of month for a couple of days, but it come early. No worries, these things happen, I said. She went to the bathroom to wash, and I thought that was the evening's entertainment over. When she come back into the room, she said, "Come on, and let's carry on." I was hesitant since she seemed to have been bleeding quite a lot. I can't say the next bit. She saw my confusion and laughed, saying, "I don't mean in my taco, I mean in my ass." I've never been happier for a woman to start her period. To say I was lucky is understatement of the century. Nothing like that has happened to me before or since, and I still replay that moment in my head years later.
Stop it. Get some help.
I contacted her again before my next trip some months later, but she said she couldn't meet. I asked why, and she said she had a serious Thai boyfriend now. About a year later, I messaged her just to say hello and ask whether she was still with the Thai guy. She sent me a few photos which shocked the hell out of me. She was heavily pregnant. Unfortunately for her, she's one of those women who blows up like a balloon when she's pregnant, and she was hardly recognizable. A few months later, she sent me photos of her with her baby, and again I was shocked at the havoc the pregnancy has caused on her body. From being slim and hot, a 9 out of 10 before, she'd become pretty podgy and big and looked like she had aged prematurely. She'd gone to probably a 3 out of 10 for me, as bigger women are just not my thing, and we haven't stayed in touch ever since.
From that day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running.
Of course, I know well that these two girls are very atypical in not being all about money, and I've met tons since who absolutely were all about the money. Although it took a lot of work weeding out the P2P girls, the effort to land those two freebie girls was well worth it. On other trips I didn't even try and just went pay to play as it's easy and generally stress-free. Anyway, I thought I'd give it one more crack to land a freebie girl on a later trip about 5 years ago, and to cut a long story short, on one of the apps I found a really hot, well-educated girl, 30, had a degree, and was working for one of the big international hotel chains in marketing. She made it very clear she was not interested in just fun, but I was quite intrigued by her and decided to see where things led. We had 4 dates while I was in Bangkok, and I mean real dates. Lunch, dinner, the cinema, a night market, not noodle soup, a beer, and then let's bang. She was a class above the other girls I'd met before, and she clearly knew it, but not in a way that seemed conceited. For the first date for lunch, she asked me what I wanted her to wear, so I said, "How about something informal, like denim shorts and a strappy top?" She was horrified, indignantly saying, "I'm not wearing something like that. I'm not some bar girl." On each date, she wore nice clothes and looked gorgeous, a real head turner, even though the clothes were definitely on the conservative side. The furthest I got with her during our dates was a bit of kissing while we were in the cinema, and she seemed to think that was ultra daring. It turned out she had done a bit of modelling in her early 20s, and she showed me some of her photos from back then. I also followed her Instagram, which was one of those typical influencer style, perfectly curated, perfect life, fashion and lifestyle profiles, something which completely turns me off. On one of the dates, she had me videoing her doing some sort of dance so she could put it on Instagram. I felt like a right idiot. On the last day of my trip, she put her cards on the table, asking what my intentions were. She made it clear that if we were going to make something out of this, she'd only be with me. I am pretty skeptical, but she was possibly genuine about that, even though common sense tells me otherwise. But she expected support. I'd not been so stupid as to tell her what I earned, but she could tell I was doing pretty well and had a well-paid job by Western standards. I played dumb and asked her exactly what support meant, and of course it meant exactly what you can all guess it meant: monthly financial support. She pitched for 30,000 baht, which with hindsight seems pretty low considering her looks, education, etc., and hints about a better car than the little one she had, trips together outside of Thailand, and maybe her own apartment as she was currently sharing with another girl. She then gave me a book she'd bought for me, which was about Falang Thai relationships and cultural and other expectations. I don't have the book anymore, but it was written by a Falang who seemed to think giving all your money to your Thai wife girlfriend was just culturally the way it was, and to go along with it, as it paid off in the end. I promised her I'd read it and let her know my thoughts. I wish I could remember the name of the book, as it was full of complete nonsense, and guys need to steer well clear of it. Okay, messaging her once I'd got back home. I didn't say anything specific to her, but I definitely gave subtle vibes about not being too keen on the whole support thing. She very quickly sensed where things were going and cut her losses and moved on, saying she didn't think we were very compatible and had different styles, and she hoped I wasn't too upset. Upset? I was almost crying, laughing, and not letting my heart rule my head by getting involved with such a blatant gold digger. I stayed on her Instagram out of curiosity, and sure enough, about 2 years later, she has a Falang boyfriend, and there are trips galore around Europe and Asia. It looked like he was pretty wealthy based on the photos. They ultimately got married, and the wedding looked like it cost the budget of a small country. So she got what she wanted and finally landed the guy who was prepared to support her. They live in Switzerland. Now, I'll finish with a couple of cautionary tales about guys I know. The first was an ex-work colleague. Let's call him John. This was about 15 years ago. We were never mates, but we had mates in common, and I've heard this story from a couple of them. John's marriage had fallen apart, and he had taken it badly, drinking a lot and getting himself into bother. One of his mates suggested a trip to Thailand to get away from it all. Possibly not his best ever idea. And of course, he gets there on his first ever trip and is blown away by the gorgeous women, like we all are. He meets a girl, spends quite a lot of time with her, and falls head over heels in love with her. Of course, he was in a pretty vulnerable emotional state, and he wasn't showing the best judgment. So he travels back home, and all John can do is go on about her and how they talk every day, and how he can't wait for his next trip to see her. She's caught him hook, line, and sinker. Everyone was telling him not to rush into things. You're on the rebound. Thai women are infamous, scammers, etc., etc. But he was completely love-struck and was ignoring everybody. You can probably tell where this is all going. Within a few months, John was paying for an apartment and a car for her, as well as giving her monthly money. I'm not sure how much, and within 12 months he'd bought a house for her and set her up in some sort of small business, both in her name, of course, and had given money to her parents for the normal replacing the broken roof and the dead water buffalo. The plan supposedly was for him to move over there and for them to get married, and the house and business were all part of that plan. It couldn't be any more of a cliche, really. Everyone was telling him what an absolute idiot he was being, and how he was obviously being scammed, but he was adamant that this was true love, and yes, he knows about Thai women, but this girl was different. He started firming up his plans to move to Thailand to be with her, ignoring massive red flags. He ploughed on, and she continued to milk him for every penny she could. He booked to go over for a final visit before moving over permanently, and he was really miffed when she went ape at him for booking travel dates without asking her, and she wouldn't be available then as she was visiting her family. He said, "No worries, I want to meet your family again," but she wouldn't hear of it. It was obvious what was going on, but he was just blind to the truth. Maybe finally starting to doubt things, he went over to Thailand as planned anyway, and turned up at her place unannounced as a surprise. There was a surprise, sure enough. Of course, she wasn't visiting her family. She was with another guy, who seemed equally surprised to see John turn up. It turned out that she had 5 guys on the go, all paying her monthly, buying her houses, cars, and businesses. She had a real commercial empire going, and she hadn't funded it with a single baht of her own money. She and her family were living it large. John lost it with her and asked, "How could you do that to me? I thought we had something special." She just laughed at him and called him a stupid phalang and that he deserved it. He came back home with his tail between his legs, with a massive hole in his bank balance, and everyone saying to him, "We tried to tell you repeatedly, why wouldn't you listen to us?" It's the age-old classic Thailand story, isn't it? Okay, finally, and briefly, the second guy I know. He was terrible with money and had a number of failed businesses in his past. When a relative died, he inherited something like £150,000. He decided to sell up and move to Thailand. He didn't have a clear plan, but eventually decided he was going to open a bar restaurant. Of course, a new phalang in town splashing the cash around caught attention, and he soon had himself a girlfriend 30 years younger than him. who moves in with him, bringing her 2 kids in tow as well. He ends up being daddy and paying for school, clothes, this and that, and also fairly frequent trips within Thailand for all of them. The bar restaurant was a disaster. He burned through cash like crazy, and the girlfriend, and within 2 years he is back home, penniless. To be fair, most of it was lost on the restaurant, but he still did the normal stupid thing of thinking this reasonably hot woman, 30 years younger than him, really liked him rather than his wallet. I'm actually planning to retire to Thailand myself in the next 5 years or so, but I'm well aware of the stupid things that guys do there, and your videos are a good reminder. I've worked damn hard to build up a retirement pot over the years, and no Thai woman is going to get her hands on it. End of story. Keep up the good work. Right, well, firstly, thanks very much for sending your story in and the cautionary tales of friends that you know that have got into some scrapes with Thai women. Now, guys, let us know what you think of this story and these cautionary tales down below in the comments. And if you've got your own Thailand story to share and you'd like for it to feature on the channel, then please get your email sent in to thaitalkwithdan@gmail.com. So in this story today, guys, we get to hear about a guy that's managed to play with Thai women here without parting with his cash. So, top one. And also cautionary tales about a couple of guys who'd lost quite a bit of money and got suckered in to the Thai girl. Craziness. Right, everybody, I'm going to love you and leave you as I need to reply back to a lot of your emails and messages, and I've also got some phone calls to make with subscribers that I presume need some advice. Just another day here in Thailand for Dan. Right, guys, take it easy, enjoy your day, and ciao for now. Bye bye, guys. Take it easy.